My favorite bit from Jackass is the giant hand
Oh, where
that's
people get it.
that
Yes.
smacks them out of nowhere with the flower. He loves old school Looney Tune bits and creating real human situations out of old Looney Tune bits
It's
where like people get
ridiculous.
blown up. Yeah. I know everyone's talking about Squid Game. You watch Squid Game, but the magic of podcasting. Sometimes you record before a show hits a streaming service. And that's exactly what situation we're in today on Nerdy and Nice. So, happy morning to all. Welcome to another episode of Nerdy and Nice. I am John, that is Lacey, and we're here to get nerdy with you because Mondays are for the nerds. And we're here to talk about all the things we love to talk about beyond a galaxy far, far away. For your Star Wars fix, make sure you catch up with our episode on the Resistance broadcast this past Thursday. Also, patrons who joined us for our watch along of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast. We hope you did too. And we look forward to our next watch along on Patreon. So please do, if you are a Nerdy and Nice fan or TRB fan, as we just showed you, Indiana Jones, not Star Wars. We do a lot of things on our Patreon, so please check it out. It's just $5 to join, patreon.com/TRB podcasts. And your support is so vital to our sustaining these podcasts and also this podcast existing and our hopeful growth in the future. So thank you all so much. But yeah, Lacey, Squid Game is out, but not as of
Yes.
recording. So you and I will talk about Squid Game next week.
Yeah, I'm so excited, although I'm a little nervous. They've been doing a lot of press, and the writer-creator said that not all stories warrant a happy ending,
Right.
which is not good for me as someone that very much enjoys a pleasant end to a story where everyone
Yeah.
survives and good guys win. I have a feeling I'm about to be destroyed emotionally.
Yeah. Lee Jung Jae might be in store for another character death, just like he
Oh.
was in Star Wars. We'll see. But we'll talk about Squid Game next week. So hopefully everybody has been having a good time watching that if you're a fan of that show. But we're gonna kick things off. We're punting trailers to next week. I know there were maybe one or two big ones that have probably come out, but we'll get back in the mix with trailers next week because today we're gonna do our version of those top 10s for the New York Times top 100 movies of the 21st century. You were able to submit your picks for your 10 best, and Lacey and I have put together our list. So we're going to kick off the show with that by giving our lists, our top 10, and then we want to hear from you. We want to hear what your top 10 movies are of the 21st century. So it can be made in 2000 through 2025. Put in the comments your top 10 movies of the 21st century and let us know what you think of our picks here. And we're going to get started right now. Lacey, how did we say we're going to do this? Are we going to alternate? Are we running through it?
I would just run through. You can start. I just want to stress how stressed I was doing this.
Oh,
I
okay.
was so anxious because picking 10 movies over the course of 25 years is insane thing to do because you don't know what vibe you're going for. And I know I have at least 3 or 4 honorable mentions, which I will bring up, that were on my list. Then they came off my list. It was hard. It was really hard. I don't know if it was easier for you. For me, it was really, really tricky.
There were a couple of tough cuts. I mean, I'll just bring it up. You were surprised that Man of Steel wasn't in my top 10.
I
It
was
was
very surprised.
probably would have been 11, 12.
Mhm.
It was close. It was close, but how I was feeling in that moment. And who knows, maybe the new Superman jumps in here. We'll see. But
Mhm.
you want me to go through mine first? Is that what you said?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
And just
So
explain a little bit why, maybe not each one, but overall why you picked what you picked.
yeah, I'll try to keep it like a couple of minutes total. Because people can be like, just give me the list. It's like I I follow this guy on Instagram. I think his Instagram handle is like, hey, it's Yoon. Have you ever seen this guy?
Mm-mm.
So basically, it's just this dude, and I think he plays guitar, but he does these videos that he stitches long videos that people deliberately don't like. They drag it out,
Oh, yes, I
and
have seen this, and he just gets to the point.
it cuts to him in his bed going like, "She lost
She got the sandwich.
$47."
Yeah.
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 So I know people want just the list, so I'll try to be as quick as I can, I guess, to get to the point. And in no particular order. So this isn't number 1, number 10. These are just the 10. I haven't ranked them. These are just my 10 in no particular order. So
I was
I'll
gonna go by
start off.
year if you want to start oldest year to now.
Oh, okay, we can do that. All right, so I'll start with in the year 2000. In the year 2000, I am picking Almost Famous. I fell in love with this movie when I first saw it. I was 17 years old, so it was almost similar age to the kid who's based on Cameron Crowe, who made the movie. It's sort of like a semi-autobiographical movie of when he followed Led Zeppelin around. But they made up this band Stillwater. Kate Hudson bursts onto the scene with this movie. Billy Crudup was great. Jason Lee's in it. Even your boy Jimmy Fallon has a cameo in it. But it's a great movie and one of my favorites. Next, I will jump to 2002, it looks like, with Catch Me If You Can. Steven Spielberg, you got John Williams, and then you have Tom Hanks versus Leo DiCaprio in a cat and mouse game that takes place in the 60s. Christopher Walken's in it. You can't ask for much more. Amy Adams, one of her earlier films. Jennifer Garner's in it. It's just one of those movies that is so rewatchable. It's very charming. I think it's one of DiCaprio's most underrated performances as Frank Abagnale. And Tom Hanks is also still very much in his acting prime there as well. So Catch Me If You Can, can't get enough of it. And plus, John Williams' score is so abstract from that typical sound of his, and I just love it. So it's like shows his range. Next, we're gonna pop to. Trying to look at these years to make sure I'm right here. 2004's Team America: World Police. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the puppet movie that they just hated making because it was such a painstaking process, but the results were fantastic and it holds up maybe even better to this day.
It's still relevant. Oh my God.
It's
Yeah.
super relevant. It's super funny. And it's those guys just really right around when they were just white hot. And it's such a fun, unique, but also callback of those marionette style hokey action movies.
It's like
or TV
Thunderbirds,
shows.
right? That's what
Thunderbirds. Yeah. It's
What is
so
your
funny.
favorite part of that movie?
When there's so many, but the one me and my friends have fun with the most is when he's throwing up in the street, and like the woman in the window's like, "Get out of the street, you effing bum! You gave up on life, didn't you?" It's just so funny.
My favorite part is when he's got the Shark Tank and he's like, hands, hands, hands. You break him above his hands.
Yes.
And he throws the puppet into like, it's like a baby Shark Tank, but like to the puppets, they're huge sharks.
Yes, and he's torn to shreds. Yeah, it's such a funny movie. It's so good. Matt Damon.
Every time I see him, I just think Matt Damon.
I think he said people say that to him on the street
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I had to throw Trey Parker, Matt Stone in there. You knew that.
Imagine that's your legacy. Just people saying
Matt Damon.
Just your
like
name.
If he, yeah. Like if they picked on an actor that was maybe hot for a second there and didn't have much of a career after, and then that's all they heard. Yeah.
All the time. So funny.
I had to get Trey Parker and Matt Stone on there. No Jackass movies, if anyone's wondering. I do love those guys, but we may talk a little Johnny Knoxville later. Then we hop just 1 year later to Batman Begins, my favorite Batman movie ever made, let alone one of my favorite of the 21st century. I just think it's perfect. The origin story done so well. Christian Bale, excellent. The Batman voice not too overdone, and Christopher Nolan made this understandable story as to why this man chose this life, and it was very believable, but also still it felt fantastical because Gotham felt like a different city in this one particularly, and Liam Neeson as the villain Ra's al Ghul is just excellent. So, and Michael Caine, like it just a great, great Batman movie, but a great, great movie that is just as good today. Next for me, Christopher Nolan again, 2006, only 1 year later, The Prestige, my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. I absolutely love this movie. The twists, the turns, the performances. Again, Christian Bale, Michael Caine, but also now Hugh Jackman, Scarlett Johansson. An amazing cast. David Bowie plays Nikola Tesla in this. It's just what's his name? I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. Gollum, Snoke, Andy Serkis. He's in it too, and he does a really funny New York accent. But The Prestige is so good. I absolutely love that movie, and it's so good that it's one of those movies where it relies on a twist, but I like rewatching it. Unlike some movies where you get the twist and you don't care anymore. Next on my list appears to be Toy Story 3 in 2010. Obvious reasons. We all thought it was the end. Very sad. Lacey and I talked about the ending of this movie not that long ago.
I sobbed in this movie theater.
And it's still very, very emotional. And now that I have kids, probably even more so, as sometimes I see Kathleen throwing out some of their toys and I'm like, wait, no. It tugs at the heartstrings, as Pixar often does. But Toy Story 3, for a second sequel to the one that started it all, still being that great, what an awesome movie. 11 years after Toy Story 2. So it was the first Toy Story of the 21st century. And I have a couple more, I believe, here. Also 2010, one of my favorite movies of all time, in my top 10 movies of all time, The Town. I love this movie so much. Ben Affleck directing, starring Jeremy Renner, Blake Lively, a great cast, John Hamm, just a loaded cast. Such a good movie, such a smart concept, loosely based on bank robberies in Charleston, in Boston. I can't get it. I'll always pop this movie on, have no problems rewatching it. I love The Town so much. And then I have three more. I have 2018, to the surprise of nobody, hopefully, Solo, a Star Wars story. My favorite Star Wars movie since the original trilogy, probably. I don't, if you know me, I don't need to say anything more. Make Solo 2 happen. I absolutely love Solo, a Star Wars story, more every time I watch it. Please continue that story. But Solo,
I hate that title, though. I really do.
I don't like the Star Wars story as much, but Solo, I love that movie very much. And then we go to 2019, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Got to get Tarantino on there. This is my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the future of that on this episode too, I believe. But you got DiCaprio, you got Brad Pitt, Tarantino behind the camera, Mikey Madison in a small role before she got big. Also, Austin Butler before he got big. It's just a really great movie that really transports you to 1960s Hollywood and sort of what they thought might be the end of the golden age of movies. But an excellent movie with a just history altering twist. Margot Robbie's in the movie. It's so great. I absolutely love this movie. It's another rewatchable movie. For a long movie, it's very rewatchable for me. And then I think my last one is Top Gun Maverick 2022. What can you say? What more can you say? We've talked about this movie a lot. An incredible sequel. How do you make a sequel 30 some odd years after the first and make it as good and probably better? They did it. I don't know how, but they did it, and it deserves being on this list. I'd be surprised if it's not on a lot of people's lists. So I believe, Lacey, those are my 10. Quick rundown. Top Gun Maverick, Batman Begins, Toy Story 3, Catch Me If You Can, The Prestige, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Town, Team America, World Police, Almost Famous, and Solo, a Star Wars story. Those are my 10.
Nice. I'm looking at my phone because I can't see my screen from where I'm sitting. All right, so I'm gonna kick this off with saying that there were a bunch that didn't make my list that were on it and then popped off and then popped back on and then popped back off again. I'm not even kidding. This took me like 45 minutes to pick because it was hard. Some of those movies include Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, or Twin Towers. That was on here. The Holiday with Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet was also on here. Step Brothers was also on this list and then popped off.
Mm-hmm.
Ready or Not was one of the best films, I
Ooh.
thought. And then also Parasite was one of those movies that just stuck with me, but not enough to make it to the list, but they're in the top 15, top 20 for me. All right. So kicking it off with 2002, I'm going to say Spirited Away by Hayao Miyazaki. Like, this movie changed my life. Seeing this movie changed me as a person. And I think overall my list is very much movies that changed me. Like, had such a big impact on who I am as a person, either emotionally, sense of humor, characters, point of I was in my life at the time. They're just movies that really left an impact on me and just kind of became part of my personality. And Spirited Away is one of them. It was one of those movies that you watch it and you're like, this is far beyond anything I could ever imagine. It's kind of like what Star Wars did the first time I watched it. It's just truly magical. The soundtrack is amazing. I listen to it all the time. If you haven't seen it, see it. There's a reason it won an Oscar. 2003 is next. I'm really in the 2000s. I'm not gonna lie. 2003 is Elf, Jon Favreau, Will Ferrell. I think it's an absolutely perfect Christmas movie. Will Ferrell, I think it's one of his, if not best role he's ever done in a movie. It's just so wholesome and wonderful. I quote it all the time. It's hilarious. James Caan's amazing. So yeah, Elf is just great. 2004, Mean Girls, Tina Fey, Lindsay Lohan. Just this movie is just who I am as a person. Like, it's just
You're
all
a
the
mean
jokes.
girl?
No, like all the jokes in
Oh.
this movie are my sense of humor. This came out when I was in high school. It was like I was right in that age group that I was like, this is hilarious and relates to being in high school. Which also plays into another movie later in my list. But yeah, Mean Girls is so good and it's just so funny. I don't think the Broadway play is good, and I don't think the redo that they did recently was needed. But I understand that Tina Fey probably wanted to make more money. But it's hard to remake perfection or reheat the nachos, as the young people say. And Mean Girls is just, it's so good. The casting for this movie is just amazing. The inside jokes, Amy Poehler's like are playing the cool mama so good. 2005, I have two movies. Howl's Moving Castle, which is my favorite Hayao Miyazaki film, which has Christian Bale. And I keep forgetting her name. Her name's Emily in real life, but she plays the bird bones person in 30 Rock. Like, I have bone syndrome. She's like dating Alec Baldwin. I forget her name. I'm blanking. But she plays Sophie, and it's such a beautiful film. The soundtrack is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. I listen to it, no joke, multiple times a week. It's amazing. Followed
Emily
by
Mortimer.
That's what it was. Mortimer, yeah. Followed by in 2005, Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley. This movie is one of my top movies of all time. Keira Knightley, this is the best role she's ever done. This movie's beautiful. It's a wonderful rendition of Pride and Prejudice. I can't believe Netflix is redoing this movie again, because this one's such perfection that I don't know why you would try to do it again, but they are. It stars, Tom McFadden, I think is his name. He was in Succession. He's like Mr. Darcy.
Oh, yeah.
He's the romantic interest. He's absolutely heartthrob, yearning, Renaissance era perfection, like walking across the beautiful morning dew field that everybody uses. Anyway, he's great.
Matthew McFadden.
Matthew McFadden, not Tom. He plays Tom in Succession.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So then we go to, I'm trying to pick up my pace here. 2007, we have Superbad. This movie is one of the most hilarious movies I've ever seen in my life. It was perfectly in that space of end of high school, early college for me. It's my sense of humor. Seth Rogen wrote it with Evan Goldberg, who do the studio now. It's hilarious. Casting's perfect. It's got Emma Stone in
it's a
it.
funny
The
movie.
jokes. I could go line for line when I'm watching that movie.
Bill Hader, yeah.
Oh my God, it's so funny. So funny. All right, 2007. Then we go to 2015. No surprise. Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Solo was my next one. If I had a space for it, it didn't make it. Force Awakens.
Same with TFA for me. Yeah.
Yeah, Force Awakens edged it out just because of the whole Rey thing. I'll never forget sitting in the movie theater when Rey grabs that lightsaber. It's such an like locked in memory for me, core memory, that it will always make this list. And then we go to 2017, Coco. I love Coco. It's my favorite Pixar movie. It caught me off guard. When I was at D23 in 2017, they had a big presentation for Coco and I wasn't interested, so I left early. I regret that for the rest of my life because they had like all the celebrities there singing the songs and I regret it so hard. I cried. I sobbed watching this movie and then immediately put it right back on again. It was when I was packing for Chicago 2019, actually.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't see it in 2017. I waited till 2019. I was packing for Celebration.
I think I remember you talking about Coco a lot.
Oh my God. I was like sobbing in my basement while packing for Celebration. And then I immediately watched it again. All right. So then where am I? 2018. Crazy Rich Asians. One of the best rom-coms, if not the best rom-com I've seen in recent years. It's John M. Chu. The casting's perfect. I love the way that they use graphic design throughout the movie, the pacing, the music, where they had all these popular songs that were in Korean. It's just so wonderfully done, using all the popular spots in Korea to tell the story. I've been waiting for the second one. I hope it happens soon, although John M. Chu's been very, very busy. Oh, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days was also in my honorable mentions. Last but not least, of course, the crossover Top Gun Maverick. One of the best movies I've ever seen. It was amazing. Yeah, it has everything. It's action, it's got the family aspect and then romance. It's so good. And those are my picks.
All right. Solid picks all around. Let us know what you think of our picks. And again, put your top 10 movies of the 21st century in the comments. We want to see your tastes. How's this century treating you from a movie perspective?
I have to say, these two lists, looking at them, look like us. In movie picks. Like if you were to look at these and go, whose is whose, it's clear whose is.
I agree. I'm surprised that I didn't put Pirates, the first Pirates, in mine. That was another one that was on the fringe for me. Yeah.
There's so many I'm sure I didn't think of that I'm going to go look at my DVD shelf and be like, oh, why did I put that? Because Pirates is definitely in that top 20 too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's tough to do. And, the list can always change. Yeah, there's no rules. All right. We do have a bunch of stories to get into, so let's fire it up and find out what's happening.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
Lots of news this week. More news than anything else, and that's why this is going to be such kind of a news-heavy show today. First up, big news for James Bond. We've gone back and forth about James Bond for the past year when we started this podcast. Recently, we talked about where is it going, who are they casting. So as you guys know, Amazon bought the rights to it, and then they kind of kicked out the old team and the new team stepping in. And they've announced who the director will be for the next James Bond, which will be Denis Villeneuve. Did I say that right? Denis?
Yeah.
And he released a quote with this press release, which says, "Some of my earliest movie-going memories are connected to 007. I grew up watching James Bond films with my father ever since Dr. No with Sean Connery. I'm a die-hard Bond fan. To me, he's sacred territory. I intend to honor the tradition and open the path for many new missions to come. This is a massive responsibility, but also incredibly exciting for me and a huge honor. Amy, David, and I are absolutely thrilled to bring him back to the screen. Thank you for Amazon MGM Studios for their trust." John, are you excited about this pick? And what do you think of what he said?
I don't know. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Denis Villeneuve movies, but I understand that he's one of the most talented directors. So, but I do love the movie Prisoners. Like that, I thought was really great. The Blade Runner wasn't really. It was a little sluggish for me, and the same for the Dunes. I've been having a hard time getting into those. And I know people love him. That don't take my taste. It's just maybe my lack of focusing on slow burns like that. But I know how talented he is. I'm just curious what that means in the direction they're going to go with James Bond, because it sounds to me that he's old school and he loves the classic Bond stuff. So is he going to reel it back and do it that style? Which is kind of how the Daniel Craig version started, with retelling the Casino Royale story.
It did start that way.
It had a very 60s feel to it. And then it sort of got detached from that a bit, and apparently a lot. But
Yeah.
I would love to see that old school smoky room, stiff drink throwback, Sean Connery style. And if he's that long held of a fan of the franchise, maybe that's what we're looking at here. But I mean, I don't see how people are going to, I know I'll let you reveal, what your Bond expert said about this, but I remains to be seen. I also need to find out who James Bond is, and that's always the big thing too. That's usually bigger than a director. I know for a fact that all James Bond fans can list every person who played James Bond, but can they name the director of all the movies? Probably not. So it really always comes down to the star and you believing that that's James Bond. But for a lot of people, I would imagine hearing this prestige of a name is coming to do Bond. I'm sure a lot of people are psyched about it, but I'm sure maybe there's some trepidation about it. But what are your thoughts?
Well, to get it out of the way, as everybody knows, my husband Matt is a huge James Bond. It's like his number one thing. That and Arnold Schwarzenegger are like the two things that he's really into. So when we were off camera and we told him the news, his response was, "Oh, they had to go weird with it." And, he's hesitant because he wasn't happy with how they handled the last kind of segment of Bonds. He didn't like the way he agrees that it started off strong with Casino Royale and then it just like went crazy. I believe, and I might be speaking out of turn here, but if you were to ask him, what he's looking for in a Bond movie, is he's looking for Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, like slick, cool, corny lines, women, guns. Like that's the Bond he's looking for. And I think these past ones got a little too serious. I think given the quote from Denis, I think he's going back to those roots of who James Bond is, which makes me think, it was last week or the week before when we were talking about that casting that was coming out. I don't think they're going to get crazy with the casting. I think they're going to pick someone that fits that cookie cutter white guy, dark hair, blue eyes. I don't think they're going to go crazy with the casting. He said it's sacred territory. Sacred territory to me is I'm not messing with what works. I'm just doing it my way. The other thing too that he said, saying that it's a massive responsibility. I'm going to treat it with care. I'm paraphrasing here. To me says he's not going to change anything drastic. He's going by what the books have laid out for him. And he's definitely not killing James Bond again because he says for more missions to come. So to me, that means either he's sticking around or he's setting it up so that the next person can pick up where he's leaving. Which is exciting to me because I always get worried now that we're going to see our favorite characters die in all these movies. Like everybody's has to do this big edgy, like, oh, I killed so-and-so. I was the person that killed him.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I would be curious to know Matt's thoughts on the serializing of James Bond, if that's the right word. Like, why can't, because I always felt like the old James Bond, like there was loose continuity, but it was sort of like each movie was its own deal. there was connection, like Spectre, and there was connections with some of the characters in Pierce Brosnan's version, but I think at its heart, each one was sort of its own.
It was its own thing, and then they make references to other adventures or other things only as like a wink to the audience, not necessarily as a bigger piece of the canon or the lore of James Bond, whereas the Daniel Craig ones were really tied together. No. Originally, James Bond is like, he went on these adventures, and that's where that's why every movie he has a new girl that he has sex with. He has it's like a whole new adventure, new villain, new everything, because that's what James Bond was, is like he went on missions. And that's why in this statement, he goes new missions. To me, that says he's not going to have this weaving interconnected story. It's, hey, this is this adventure. This is this adventure. He might make references or nods or winks at other things, but they're not going to be like ingrained and leading into the next thing.
I agree. Yeah, I think that might be the way to go. And he may be like one of those directors, like you said, maybe he's passing the baton or setting things up, or maybe he's just saying like, I'm here to put Bond on the map for this, for Amazon, and I'm just going to do this one movie and then that's it. Like, who knows? But it's interesting.
Yeah. And the other piece about the serial type stuff is because every movie had its own adventure, it was easier to switch up who was James Bond, because you took it as, oh, well, that was that adventure. This is this adventure, which is a different actor. It just became and then Daniel Craig did all these movies, and you're like, okay, I guess he's doing all these ones now. It's just different.
Yeah, and it allows people to pop in and be like, I feel like watching a James Bond movie. And it's like, oh, I have to watch 4 before I watch this one? Nah.
Yeah. I'm still, fingers crossed, hoping that they would bring back Pierce to do like an old man James Bond. I would love that.
That would be cool. Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to start from the beginning and start fresh.
Yeah, they're going to find some, like you said, some 35-year-old black-haired, blue-eyed guy.
Yeah,
that's
guy.
Not playing Superman.
Yeah. But speaking of coming back, the next story, your buddy Jon Bernthal, and I say your buddy, not that you're friends, which I think you would love.
Not yet.
Because you do enjoy everything that he does, is joining Tom Holland in Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is the latest installment that is shooting this summer in England, and has a release date of July 31st, 2026. So they're up on a timeline here. They got to crank this thing out in a year. So there's not a lot of details about what the story is or where it's going or what he has to do. And supposedly Sadie Sink is in it. So the question is, what is the Punisher doing? John, are you excited to see the Punisher with Spider-Man? Do you just say, hey, I just really like the Punisher, I don't care about Spider-Man? Will you go see this movie? Do you have any guesses on what the plot is?
I don't have guesses because I looked into the Brand New Day comic series, and I think it was from around 2008 or so, which, coincidentally enough is when the MCU launched. So, and I didn't see anything with the Punisher in it. So I feel like they are taking that as some sort of basis, but then adding him into the ingredients. You have to, like, here's the crazy part of it. And this article does allude to it from the Hollywood Reporter, but Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man, was so crazy and off the rails and interdimensional and intertimelined and multiversed up, and there's 3 Spider-Men and Doc Ock is back, and it was just complete chaos. And people loved it because it was just such a theatrical whirlwind. That now it's like, well, now that they put this in place where people's memories, they don't remember somebody because they reset the timelines and all that stuff, it's like maybe it's time to ground it a bit. And what better way than getting a character like Frank Castle as the Punisher, who lives in this very grounded version of the Marvel Universe. He is a soldier. He is a cop. He uses his fists and guns to kill bad people.
He's very violent, yes.
Yes. And Spider-Man, this version of Spider-Man, is more of the
I'm gonna hang this
juvenile,
guy up
yeah,
to let the police take him from here.
the juvenile, fun, playful Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And you're going to have those two contrasts there. But that's not to say that, this Spider-Man was in a lot of darkness with Infinity Saga too. But in his own run, having someone alongside him like Punisher, because I doubt they're going to have them pit against each other because of the way they're building up Punisher right now with the Daredevil stuff. But I'm excited about it. I probably will go see this if I'm able to. I don't know that have seen. I don't think I saw any of the new Spider-Man in theaters because I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan. You know that.
I am, but I'm not a Tom Holland fan. I'm surprised that I'm saying
right.
that out
You
loud.
like Tobey Maguire, yeah.
I like Tobey Maguire, not as the person, but as Spider-Man. And I don't know, I just can't get into Tom Holland. I think it's because it feels like he's for the people behind me, generation-wise. Like he's their Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I just haven't, it was like too kiddish for me. Like he's too
Not
young.
your Spider-Man? Is that the hashtag?
I don't want to say that because that's mean. That means he's not doing a good job. And I'm not saying he's not doing a good job. He's just because then Andrew Garfield did a great job too. And he didn't really get to do much. So I was excited to see all of them get to play it together. That was cool. And by see it, I mean see the clips online because I never watched it.
Yeah.
But
also
I mean, Jon Bernthal.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying Jon Bernthal, his Punisher is awesome. I've watched the Netflix stuff. I haven't watched the Disney Plus stuff yet, where I think he comes up in Daredevil. I haven't watched that yet, but his Netflix stuff was intense. The scene where he's pouring cement into the thing with a guy in there and it gets really crazy. It's super dark and it's different from the other Punishers that I've seen because Matt also likes Punisher. So I've seen those movies, which are just too much, like too much gore, too much violence for me. It just gets to a point that I'm like, I don't want to see a family die. I'm good. Thanks. But yeah, I'm happy for Jon Bernthal. He's so good at everything that he does. And he loves this role like so much. He's expressed that time and time again. I also have a little bit of a personal kind of hooray for me plug. And that one time he was a guest at a Comic-Con and I made the image for it. And I was like so proud of myself. And so like I still have this tie to him that I'm like, he's so great. Remember that image I made? It was so awesome.
Nice.
I had the New York City background and then I like put some fade on it and some smoke. And then I had him in the front. I was so proud. No, it just reminds me.
You still have it?
Oh, definitely in my drive somewhere. But anyway, I look at him and I remember just the fun of working with comic book characters and just the idea that it's a show that celebrates New York. Especially, we see a lot of shows now that are like in LA or they're in these made up cities or whatever. But like his is very grounded, just like Daredevil in New York, which is cool for me because you and I are close to New York, so it's like, oh, it's right here. Yeah, I love that.
What Comic-Con was it?
New York Comic-Con 2014. 2014. Yeah, it was a while. It was a long time ago.
Probably
that's it.
Image I sent you. Oh,
that is it. I made that.
There you go.
Isn't it epic? Isn't it so awesome? Put some drop shadow back there. I added some little fade.
Yeah, there's a lot of the top lighting and top fading and
yeah, I did that.
All right.
Every once in a while you just see something, you're like, yeah. All right, are we good with this next?
Yeah, and also they said they confirmed MJ and Ned are returning, both actors Zendaya and Jacob Batalon. So curious what they do with that story, and that to me means Sadie Sink is absolutely not playing MJ because I think they're dialing back the whole multi thing. So that probably locks that in.
I have no idea on plot because I'm so far behind. I couldn't even speculate on what the plot would be.
Just give me this. Give me Spider-Man. He is hesitant to hurt people, and he's in a really tough spot. And all of a sudden, Punisher rolls up and just mows down like 8 dudes with like automatic weapons.
He's like, I got it.
That's all. There we go. There's the intro. Do that, and people will go watch this movie.
Speaking of people that are proud of what they do, we are hearing a lot from Joseph Kosinski, who is the director of the current kind of hit with Brad Pitt, F1. People are really loving it. People are saying go see it in the theater because it's so loud with all the cars. Skywalker Sound, I think, did the sound for it. But it is intense. And people said bring earbuds because it's so loud, which makes sense. George Lucas loved racing. So why wouldn't they do the sound for that? But anyway, the reason we're discussing it is because once again, he's bringing up Top Gun. And as you guys know, in both of our top 10s, Top Gun Maverick, the movie he did, is in that list. He was speaking to British GQ, and, you know, they basically asked him about how do you deal with the scale of this? How do you deal with what's next? And he said, I think we found a way to do it, not only in the scale of what we're proposing, but the idea of the story we're telling. We're thinking much bigger than it's really an existential crisis that Maverick has in this, and it's much bigger than himself. It actually, ... They put the dots there. I'm trying to describe it without giving anything away. It's an existential question that Maverick has to deal with that would make Maverick feel small, I think, as a movie compared to what we're talking about. And the interview goes on to say, hey, you know, Top Gun Maverick was kind of him passing the baton to the next generation. So are you saying he's pretty central to this next edition of Top Gun? And he says, yeah, there's more story to tell for him. There's one last ride. So we're working on it now. Aaron Kruger, who wrote F1, is writing the script. Like all things, it takes a while to work things out, and we'll only do it if we feel like we've got a strong enough story.
Oh, yeah, bananas.
I guess, first of all, before we get into our thoughts on these quotes, which are crazy, is Chris McQuarrie not writing it? Or did he write the... Did I just mess up his name? Chris McQuarrie?
Is Quiz coming back to write the movie? Is Quiz coming?
I hate you
Chris
so much. I knew
McQuarrie?
those. My brain was working faster than my mouth, but
Quiz, come work in Star Wars, Quiz.
Chris McQuarrie.
Tom
Is he not
Cruise.
writing this? I thought he was writing it. Or is he writing the treatment?
So Aaron Kruger wrote Top Gun Maverick. Quiz McQuarrie helped Aaron with that. And
So he's
then,
like coming in to help? Is that what it was?
Yeah, well, I think it's sort of like there's some bond between Tom Cruise and Chris McQuarrie that they've been working together on.
People have been
seemingly
hinting
almost
at
everything,
romance.
So, yeah,
People were like, oh, look at them holding hands on the red carpet and stuff.
were they?
I don't know. The people were joking online. They were like, what's with the... They were like doing like behind the back holds and stuff.
Oh, is it? Are we? I mean, I don't want to assume, but is there a thing going on there?
I don't know. Who cares? That'd be actually
Yeah.
awesome if they did.
Yeah.
Good for them. Anyway, moving on to the actual question. The question is, how do you feel about him saying that this is a big crisis for Maverick? Do you think Maverick's had enough crises? And second of all, how do you feel about the line, one last ride? Is he dying?
I just hope that's not the subtitle of the movie. Bad.
Imagine he's been saying that and it's like Top Gun, one last ride.
Top Gun, one last ride.
Written by Chris McQuarrie.
Chris McQuarrie. Buying F-18s. Maybe F-22s. So existential crisis to me could mean two things. One, Maverick has a kid, which I don't think is going to happen because Penny is closer to his age. I think they're past that.
Unless they adopt.
Right. They probably don't introduce an adopted kid to Maverick in the third movie. I doubt that very much. So the other is he not, like, it's sort of like he has an existential crisis essentially in the second movie too. Is he needed? Do our fighter pilots needed anymore? So it goes back to what we were saying last week, where I think AI is going to be the thing. Drones, AI technology, and some sort of systemic shutdown happens that grounds all of those programs that they have to get pilots back into planes to finish something off. And that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be fighter pilots are is almost the foreshadowing from Top Gun Maverick. He's like, maybe one day, sir, but not yet. And it's like, maybe Top Gun 3 is that day where he isn't needed anymore. I think that's going to be the existential crisis, the John Henry thing, the man versus machine. And then ultimately it's going to lead to one last ride where we need them back in those cockpits because this whole program got hacked and shut down or something, and we're about to face annihilation, and you got to go in and turn and burn and do it one more time. So that's my guess.
Which they've been working with the Navy and Lockheed to see
Yeah.
if what their plot is possible. So
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting that they're using real world consultants to say, hey, is this realistic? Because they don't want the criticisms, which you had talking about this last week, which was, is this going to turn into a Fast and Furious scenario where it's like the cars in space? And you're like, no way, come on.
Right.
They don't want that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And Tom Cruise is smarter than that. Like Mission Impossible is his Fast and Furious.
It really is. Yeah.
This is more to honor naval aviation and all that. So that's my take on it. I love the fact that they keep talking about it. I do laugh at them saying like, we're not going to do it unless it's right. It's like, you're doing it. Just whether it's right or not, we'll find out, but you're doing Top Gun 3. It's definitely happening. And even I remember Glenn Powell saying we have a date. So I don't know if he just said that, but I think this movie is happening and we won't have to wait 30 years for it. Maverick won't be 95 in the cockpit.
I think it's definitely happening from Glenn Powell and Tom Cruise's own mouth saying that it was happening. And then also Ash Crossan from Screen Rant, our buddy Ash, spoke to Joseph last week at the premiere of F1, and he said the same thing to her. He was like, yeah, we're working on the script. It's happening. It's going right now. Speaking of the F1 premiere, another guy showed up at the F1 premiere, surprisingly, which was Tom Cruise. He showed up to support his buddy Brad Pitt, which is in our next story, which is a secret Netflix movie that landed a lofty California tax credit, is likely Brad Pitt's Adventures of Cliff Booth. Now, I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so I am not the person to necessarily talk about this. So I'm going to let you take the lead on this one of what this movie is. I'm assuming it's a spinoff or maybe a sequel, and what this means.
So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino is writing this movie for Cliff Booth because Tarantino said he's going to direct only one more movie, and so it's not going to be this, but he's going to write this. But David Fincher is actually going to come in to direct it. So David Fincher, which ties into our next story, and we'll get into that in a little bit. David Fincher is going to direct it, and it's going to pick up. It seems like it's going to be a sequel, I imagine, but Tarantino bounces around on his timelines a lot in his movies. He does flashbacks, stuff like that. But Cliff Booth was the stuntman for Leonardo DiCaprio's character, who was like a fading star actor, and he was his stuntman, but he was also like, he would pick up his laundry for him, he would drive him places, and they were like really good friends. I doubt Leo's in this, so it's going to be the further adventures of Cliff Booth, but it's really cool because like Cliff does a lot of interesting things in that movie. And didn't he win the Oscar for that?
Who did?
Brad Pitt.
I think he was nominated. I don't know if he won. He might have won. I know Leo didn't win for it.
Yeah, I think he did. He did win Best Supporting Actor for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So he's bringing this role back. It's a great role. He knocked it out of the park. I love him in the end when he's on acid and how he handles the whole chaos of the Manson family at the end of the movie. I recommend people check it out. It's a really good Tarantino movie. It's in my top 10 21st century. So I am absolutely in on this, especially David Fincher directing, because I was like, how are they going to do this? And Tarantino's not going to direct it. And then like David Fincher's doing it. I'm like, oh, all right.
David
That's
Fincher is
interesting.
a busy guy. We were talking about maybe him doing Mindhunter last week. I don't know if we had time to talk about it last week, but it's now being rumored from David Fincher that they might bring back Mindhunter in 3 movies. So Fincher is a busy guy.
Yeah.
And he's doing Squid Game.
Huh?
He's doing the American Squid Game.
Oh, right. Yeah. And he's worked with Brad Pitt a lot. Seven, Fight Club, of course, Benjamin Button. So, I mean, those are 3 really good movies. Those 2 know how to work together. I think this is going to be great. I'm really excited for it. I'm surprised it's not going theatrical. Netflix is making deals, so maybe one of those small windows or whatever, because
they might,
Tarantino,
because they have to for the award season. So they might do a limited run.
And Tarantino is Joe Theater. Like he
He
wants his movies watched on 70 millimeter or whatever. So I'm really interested and excited about this. And I am eager to see the further adventures of stuntman Cliff Booth.
Speaking of David Fincher again, this next story relates to him in that it was announced this week that The Social Network Part 2 is in the works at Sony, with Aaron Sorkin set to write and direct. Now, the reason I'm bringing up David Fincher is because he did the first Social Network movie. He will not be doing this one. Aaron Sorkin, who has taken on a couple projects since then, is now saying, I'm going to direct this one. And the first one was based on a novel, The Accidental Millionaires. And it was a huge hit with audiences and critics and earned $226 million at the box office and was nominated for 8 Oscars, including Best Picture. And it won 3, including Sorkin for Best Adapted Screenplay. So I think he's looking to tell his stories. We know Aaron Sorkin likes to do kind of current event stuff and how things affect our society. And this is no different. And this time, he is going to the story is about following the events of January 6th, 2020, when the U.S. Capitol was attacked. Sorkin found new inspiration, saying in an interview last year that he believed Facebook played a part. So they're saying that the film isn't based on January 6th. However, that kicked off the inspiration of how did Facebook get to this point of where we are now in the U.S. as a country, compared to the teens and college students we saw in the first Social Network. So this is kind of like Social Network Part 2. And it's based on an article put out by, I believe, the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, one of the
Wall
two. Wall Street Journal, about kind of Facebook selling data.
The Facebook Files, it was called, yeah.
Yeah, how Facebook was selling people's data to then drive, political messaging and algorithms, and the impact it's had, like I said, on society and communities and people and well-being and mental health, and how these people are driving certain views of things. I haven't seen the first one, but I got to tell you, the second one really interests me because I am more interested on how we got to this point than how he started Facebook, which was he wanted to rank hot girls at college, and that's how Facebook started. He was like, is this girl hot? Where can I find her? And now he's like ruining the US. So,
and he's such a weird person. I'm sorry.
He's a robot.
Like,
he's a total robot.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to be a brilliant movie. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to fight against it, but I'm rooting for him. But they don't know if Jesse Eisenberg will return or Andrew Garfield to play their roles again. Basically, the movie has just been kind of announced that it's happening. They haven't really decided any other production updates. So have you seen the first one, John? Are you interested in the second one?
Yeah, I like the first one. I mean, I didn't, it's not in my top 10 list, of course, but for the century, but I enjoyed it. I don't think I hold it as high as a lot of people do, but I thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was a surprise that it was as good, and I think that's what led it to be held in such esteem with people, because they probably didn't go in expecting it to knock them out. And A lot of great performances. I think Andrew Garfield was probably the best. He had some really standout moments in that movie to me.
His part where he comes in and slams the laptop down goes viral on social media like every other day.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. But even at the negotiating table and like just seeing him full of heartbreak and just like, it's it is a really good movie. But my concerns are that it's been 20 years that movie came out,
Mm.
and then Sorkin, he wrote the first one, but Fincher directed it. Fincher, we just talked about. He's one of the best directors. Aaron Sorkin, not the best resume from a director's standpoint. I looked at his movies before.
He's
good
only done a
writer.
few.
Yeah, but here's the movies that he has directed. Now, I want to give him all the credit in the world. He's extremely successful, and even the movies he directed that I'm not considering great are things that very few people in the world get to do. So I'm completely acknowledging that. I understand the perspective, but as I'm stalling to try to find his filmography, there's got to be a better way, Wikipedia. Don't make me abandon you forever, because I will.
They said it at the bottom of the article where he has done, since then, Molly's Game, The Trial of Chicago 7, and Being the Ricardos.
Yeah.
Those are his recent directing credits that Sorkin has done.
Yes, the trial. Yeah, so the first movie he directed was Molly's Game, and then Trial of Chicago 7 and Being the Ricardos. That's it. Those are the three movies he's directed, and then he hasn't directed any TV. So, but he wrote A Few Good Men. He wrote The American President. He wrote The Social Network. He wrote Moneyball. We're talking about Oscar-nominated.
Didn't he write
stuff.
Newsroom, or the HBO show?
Oh,
with Jeff
did he?
Daniels? Is that Jeff Daniels?
He wrote he created The West Wing. Let's not forget that. I mean, TV.
Yes.
He's had Newsroom as well. So a lot of success.
He did that famous
successful.
Jeff Daniels monologue that goes viral every few months about how America is not the best country in the world.
Well, also one of the most iconic movie lines of all time. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Right.
Like, that's one of the most recognizable movie lines ever. And he wrote that 30 plus years ago. So I'm not worried about his writing on this. He wrote the first one. Maybe it might take a step back from a directing standpoint, which is how you tell the story. So we'll see. I'm interested. I'll probably check it out. But, I'm not the hugest fan of the movie Social Network. So I'm eager to see it. And look forward to it happening. But I'll say this, I am a big fan of suspension of disbelief and getting lost in my stories when I watch them. I hope they bring back Jesse Eisenberg if they are indeed having Mark Zuckerberg in this movie. So when I look at the screen, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy from the first one, so that you can watch the first one.
Yeah, there's no disconnect.
Watch part 2. Yeah.
You can't do James Bond with this. You can't switch up the
can't.
actor.
No, you can't do that.
And this next story is someone you actually do like. Everything about it you get, which is Johnny Knoxville, which is interesting. He's going to host Fear Factor, the next chapter. I feel like I was just talking about this show, because this show was shot at the time period where people were still shooting in 4:3. So those earlier episodes with Joe Rogan, which surprised, Joe Rogan hosted Fear Factor. Where people ate roaches and got dunked into a car in a pool. So you see older clips of it from the early 2000s, and they're 4:3 square, and they're really blurry when they try to blow them up. Anyway, but I am not surprised that they chose him for this. Johnny Knoxville, it seems like a perfect fit, actually, based on what he's done in the past. Joe Rogan wasn't going to come back for it, so kind of the next person in line. So what are you going to watch this? Are you going to give it a chance? Because it is on Fox. Oh my
God. Yes. 100%. One of the best, what people don't understand about Jackass, or I don't want to say they don't understand it, but one of the parts people don't talk about enough is Johnny Knoxville's maniacal laughter at people getting hurt and being in uncomfortable situations. It is some of the best parts of Jackass. When my favorite bit from Jackass is the giant hand.
Oh, where
That's
people get it,
that
yes.
smacks them out of nowhere with the flower. He loves old school Looney Tune bits and creating real human situations out of old Looney Tune bits
It's
where like people get
ridiculous.
blown up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way he laughs when that happened, like they hit Aaron McGeehee with it, and for whatever reason they had him carrying a tray of hot soup.
Why?
So the hand hits him and it goes all over him, and you just hear Knoxville in the background going, "He fell for it. He fell for the soup." And he just starts laughing hysterically. I can't wait to see Johnny Knoxville doing that to people, like trying to lay in fish tanks full of cockroaches and
Ugh.
all that stuff that this show brings. Because I really never liked Joe Rogan. I'm sorry. I think the only thing he's good at, well, I hate saying the only thing I like him in is UFC announcing. He is great at doing that, but I never really thought he was all that good
I
on that
hated
show.
Fear Factor. I hated
Yeah.
it. From eating
Knox-
bugs, bull
This is exact-
testicle smoothies. I just,
If it wasn't Knoxville, it would be Steve-O and Chris Pontius. Like these guys are meant to be hosting something like this. This is such a no-brainer. It is absolutely perfect. It's as big of a no-brainer as when we first heard that Donald Glover was going to play Lando Calrissian. It was just like, yes, of course he is.
yeah.
This is perfect. I can't wait to watch it. Turn your brain off. We need more stuff like this. How many shows are about dystopian futures and the death of humanity? Like, give me Johnny Knoxville, like, watching people be tormented by really
I don't
terrifying
know. This
situations.
is this is not for me because I can vividly remember the episode. It was like their biggest episode where they were giving away $1 million, which back in the day, $1 million was a big deal. And they had people at a poker table because it was in Las Vegas, and they had a woman eat a live African spider. And the thing was like crawling out of her mouth, trying not to die. And it just stuck with me. I could never watch this again. Like the eating stuff is what grosses me out. Like it's not
I
the
agree.
heights, it's not the water. Like even like touching things, like, oh, you have to touch a snake. Like, okay, the snake's probably trained to be fine. It's all good. They have like animal people on the side. It's the eating of things just like thoroughly grosses me out. And that goes for
That's
any
fair.
show. This
Sure.
Survivor, when they do the auction, which by the way is one of my favorite episodes, when they do the auction for food and stuff and they get like bugs. Ugh. Can't. But yeah. So I don't know. I'll probably watch clips online, but I don't know if I can sit and watch a whole episode.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Is that is it, right? Is that it for the news?
That is it.
All right. Let us get into a quick session of what you watching.
We can never leave the house, and would just probably sit around all weekend and watch TV.
Go on.
I'm going to be honest. I always start this segment that way. I have probably watched Squid Game by now, but because we're recording this before Squid Game came out, we're going to talk about it next week. So I can't talk about it right now. However, I do want to acknowledge the Tiny Chef video that was put out this past week, which went viral on social media that people are going nuts about. So Tiny Chef is kind of a stop motion animation kid show about this little tiny vegetarian chef that lives in a tree and cooks recipes. He's had about, I think, three seasons. Was picked up in 2020 by Nickelodeon, won an Emmy this past year, and they canceled it. Nickelodeon was like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. But the way they went about announcing it was canceled is they had the main character, the adorable little chef, go on camera and pick up his phone and talk to an executive like he was being fired on the phone. And so he's like, so what about Kate and Sam and all these people? No, I understand. And then hangs up the phone, stands there, and then walks out of focus and sobs on camera. And that's how they announced it being canceled. It's the most heartbreaking thing I've ever seen. Everybody's going nuts over it. But at the same time, they launched a crowdsourcing campaign to continue the Tiny Chef elsewhere. So if you're interested in keeping it going for children's programming, you can donate online. But like that, watching that, I've been watching the Democratic mayoral race in New York has been it's been a wild week for politics. Been watching a lot of that. I've been watching Bluey, of course, to break up the miserable stuff that we hear on a daily basis, which again, that show is just so good. I've been thinking nonstop that we got to get someone from Bluey on here, like just to talk about it, like voice actor or something, because that show is just so good. Have you gotten into it yet?
I mean, I don't sit down and watch it, but
You
if I
should.
go in,
So
well, if I go into my daughter's room and she's watching it, sometimes I'll sit down with her for a few minutes or something like that. I think I've watched like an episode or two. Like, you know, it's nice. Nice. I'm
Oh
glad
my
that
God.
it's a good show for the kids.
The episode tonight were Fancy Restaurant, so good. Cricket, so good. I have been sitting here for the past 2 weeks being like, maybe I should start a Bluey podcast where I just talk about Bluey, because they have a movie coming out in 2027. Like, start now, getting people up to the lore of Bluey, because there's a lot there, a lot of inside jokes.
There's got to be Bluey podcasts already.
Who cares? It's not my Bluey podcast.
No, I know.
Anyway, if you want to see that, let me know. But anyway, that's what I've been watching. I'm just getting myself ready for Squid Game.
Right on. Yeah, me too. Ready for Squid. I finished Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV Plus. The John Hamm show plays a hedge fund guy who hedge fund guy gets fired and decides to turn to other means to try to keep his status as a rich dude in town. Very small community, a lot of people talk. Very intriguing and fun show. A lot of, you know, whodunit, twists, turns, fun. It's a good time. And it's like 9 episodes. Each one's about an hour. Olivia Munn in it. It's a good cast. Amanda Peet. It's a good show. Really good show. I really enjoyed it a lot. I recommend it if you have access to Apple TV Plus. You know, get a login from somebody. If you don't have it, figure it out. The other thing I wanted to comment on was WWE. I feel like they're making a lot of mistakes right now with doing this whole new thing where they're breaking the fourth wall and like talking about future storylines when they're on shows and stuff. And I think that just takes away from the whole purpose of what WWE is, which is supposed to be just like any other show where you're just experiencing it. And it's this live soap opera, athletic soap opera. So, and that plus, I saw something recently about, I don't know if it was Sabrina Carpenter or somebody talking about not
It was
allowing
Sabrina
cell
Carpenter.
phones. Not allowing
She
cell
went to
phones.
a concert.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with that. When I go to concerts, I may snap a few photos with the people I'm at. I've done it when I was younger, but I am not about filming these concerts with my phone. One, you're going to see a better version of it on YouTube anyway. Experience it, be there, cheer, all that stuff. And the same goes for these WWE events. All these people are sitting there with their phones. These crowds are dead, except when they're like singing along to some of these new wannabe catchy theme songs for crowd buzz. These crowds are deceased when these matches are happening for the most part. And it didn't used to be that way. I would take people's phone, not let people bring their phones into the WWE event. Let everybody be there in one spot. Maybe do a thing where they have a drone and you can look up your seat and get a photo of you and your family from the drone or something. Like, there's ways to get photos without you having to be sitting there filming matches and all this crap. I feel like it is destroying the communal aspect of going to live events. That's all. And old man yelling from iCloud.
I mean, I said that when you've brought up a couple times now how the crowds here in the US are dead compared to overseas.
Oh,
and yeah. I said to you, I was like, is it the phones? Because phones just anywhere you go now, people have Disney, wherever, it's like constant phones are out. And I think one of the things I was really happy about, especially at Disney, is like you and I tried pretty hard to put our phones away at times. Like, we didn't have our phones out. We just kind of enjoyed the experience of being in Japan. And I'm grateful for that. And a celebration too. Like, I took a lot of photos here and there, but then I would put my phone away for a while and just like not have it out, because it's so easy to just be like, oh, one more picture. And then no one ever sees that picture anyway. You know how many pictures I have on my phone that no one's ever seen, that no one like, it's just. What's the point?
It's the filming of fireworks thing.
Yeah,
Like once
that's
you
DJ Elliott's
realize,
thing. He always brings that
yeah?
up. He goes, well, and at the beginning of panels, he's like, put your phone away, enjoy the panel. It's just like, how many of you have videos of fireworks on your phone? You're never going to put that anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've done that in the past. I'm like, what am I doing? Like one time Kathleen was like, don't film the fireworks. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Why am I doing that? It's
She's
so
like,
stupid.
I don't want to be seen with you. Don't film these.
No, it wasn't that. She was just saying, enjoy this. Like, don't.
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Yeah. So
not with me.
I feel like that does affect these live events a lot, and there have been plenty of times where I've been at things, and whether it's a premiere or somewhere else where you have to get your phone locked up, and it's also it's kind of freeing in a way, knowing that I can't at all use it, and you're fully immersed in whatever experience you're in that moment. So I hope that more artists and more people involved with live events of a mass scale, bang that drum, because I would support that. I have no problem with that. Get your phone later. You can get photos. They'll send you photos. You can watch that concert on YouTube. Don't just sit there and try to capture your version of it. Enjoy that moment. Be there.
Yeah, it's not even that expensive actually. I think it was Rise of Skywalker where they put the phone in the bag with a magnet and they lock it, and then you have to go back and unlock it to take your phone out. That's one way.
Yeah.
That's obviously a service that comes in that they do it. But I remember at D23, they gave us like this kind of silver and black film bag, and they handed you the bag. You took your phone, you showed them that it was off, put it in the bag, sealed the bag like it was like a mailer where you took the tape off and you glued it shut. That was it. And you couldn't take your phone out. And then they had security guards, obviously. But I was like, it can't be that expensive to just get those mailing bags and just glue up your phone.
Right.
Get it later. Yeah.
Yeah. But next week we'll be talking Squid Game. Excited about that. But that's it. That's it for the show. We want to thank everybody for watching and listening and getting nerdy with us on this Monday. We obviously hope you had great weekends, but we hope we were able to kick off your week with a nice fun start here on Nerdy and Nice. So thank you all so much. Make sure you follow us on social media, Nerdy and Nice Pod. Also, this podcast is on its own podcast feed. So if you happen to have been subscribed to the Resistance broadcast, you still got to subscribe to this one to make sure you get the alerts for the new episodes. So find Nerdy and Nice on Apple, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcast app is. And the video version is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TRBpodcasts. A big thank you to the Movie Star Generals and Silver Screen Spice Runners on our Patreon. Your support means so much to us. We have to give you a shout out all the time, and that happens now. Generals Carmelo, John RISI, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Chris Morales, Mike Rumore, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Colin Cormier, Stephen Garros, Sachi, and Darth Snips, and the Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gelner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, THEFORTWORTHIAN, and Brian Smith. And however you support us, thank you all so much. It means a great deal. TRBpodcasts.com to get easy access to the podcast, of course, but also our merch. We got new stuff coming. Keep an eye out for that. And we'll obviously announce that and talk all about that. And then for us, me, Johnny Hoey on Blue Sky and X, and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. Just did Godfather 2 recently if you want to check it out. And Lacey, where can people talk to you about our lists and all the cool stuff we talked about today?
People can find me on social media at Lacey Gilleran and on TikTok at It's Lacey Gilleran. And please send me your list because I want to see.
Yes, absolutely. We want to see all these lists. It's talking movies is just a fun time. That's it for us. We'll be back with you next week again, talking Squid Game, all the return of trailers and all the other nerdy stuff that's going to be going on in movies, TV, and pop culture. And of course, Thursday, we'll be back with you talking Star Wars on TRB. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time. Until then, we'll see you around here.